me. So if you're just joining our group today, this is Strength for Beginners. I'm Gabby. I'm a physical therapist. I'm a strength and conditioning specialist. I am coming to you from my small studio in Somerville, Massachusetts, the Run RX, where I treat and train mostly runners, but fitness enthusiasts from a variety of ages and backgrounds. Today we are going to be going through a workout that is catered towards beginners to intermediate. We're going to be using the loop band, so if you're just joining us, we're going to want something like this. We're going to go through the circuit style, so we'll warm up, and then we're going to have 2 circuits that we'll repeat and go through before we stretch and cool down and leave a little bit of time at the end for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, especially regarding anything with injuries or training or running or anything along those lines, definitely save those for the end, and I will try to answer a bunch. As Kevin mentioned, please leave your feedback. As always, I check it each week, and I will be designing my workouts accordingly week after week. If today's exercises feel like they're too easy for you, I also do another class at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's strength for runners, but honestly, it's similar type of workout. It's total body, and it's just a little bit more advanced. So you can always check that out if today feels easy. If anything feels hard or easy, I will try to offer modifications for each exercise. But if anything doesn't feel right for you or your body, just sit that one out if the modifications don't work. We don't want anybody doing anything that doesn't feel good for them today. So the other thing, housekeeping thing, is that the second week of August, I think it's August 12th, I'll be doing a workshop / talk on shoulder injuries and shoulder injury prevention, things that you can implement to promote good shoulder health and shoulder strength, especially in anybody who is active, especially in anybody that is CrossFitting or doing any sort of exercise like that, or if you just have had an experience with pain, definitely check that out. We'll be doing that at 1 o'clock, I think, on August 12th, so keep an eye out for that, and among all the other classes on COA that you can join in with. So I'm gonna share my music here. Let's see. So we're going to start with a little warm-up. We're going to come up into standing. Let me angle up a little bit here. All right, we're going to come up into standing, and we're going to bring our band. You can either do this down at your feet over your laces so that you're standing on it, or you could come up to your ankles. I'm going to just lower this volume. Just going to lower the volume a little bit so you can hear me. Okay, so band at your feet over your laces, a little bit more glute activation, a little bit harder on your hips. Ankles is a little bit easier. We're going to start just getting our hips warmed up with some side steps with the band. Think about taking a nice big step, pressing that knee out wide so you're not collapsing inwards. Press out, come in. Thinking about sitting your hips back a little bit so you're not stick straight with your legs. You're tall through your trunk, so you're not reaching and leaning excessively to the side. You stay tall. Press out with that knee. Come in nice and slow. Nice big step. Back leg comes in. Let's go one more time. Up and back. Press that knee out. Come in nice and slow. Good. So as far as band positions on the leg, if your knees bother you, you could try putting the band up above your knees as well. We have it right now at the ankles, or you can put it around your feet for a little bit more glute activation. Next one we're going to do is we're going to step our feet out wide. So I have my feet out really wide against this band, okay? I'm thinking about sitting my butt back a little bit again, so I'm not stick straight. My butt sits back a little bit. My feet stay wide. And we're going heel to toe, little tiny steps, while you really push those legs out and don't let that band pull you in. Toe to heel on the way back. Should feel this in the sides of your hips and your glutes. We're going to go one more time, little steps, press those knees out wide. Heel to toe, and then the reverse on the way back. Good. Last one of this walking series is we're going to think about stepping diagonally. We're going to think about taking a nice big reach forward and to the side, forward and to the side, and the back leg comes in. And reverse on the way back. So reach back sort of diagonally. You're getting that hip extension. Those glutes are working as you reach. Keep your core engaged. And we'll do that one more time. Good. If you don't have it at your feet already, let's bring that band down to our feet. If this bothers your back, bothers your hip, just doesn't feel right for you, you can opt to just do some marches here. But we're going to get our hip flexors engaged by doing a little march up against that band, okay? As you're doing that march, you want to make sure your core is active, that you're not rounding, that you're not hyperextending. You're moving with control, driving that knee up, coming down nice and slow. Okay, keep that core engaged, drive up, slow on the way down. Let's get 2 more on this side. And we will switch. So driving that knee up, down nice and controlled, maintaining that nice steady pelvis as you move. You can kind of add a little bit of a reciprocal arm swing. It's kind of similar to running or walking. We swing our arms reciprocally with our leg. Let's get 2 more here. And relax. We're going to bring those bands up above our knees now. And we are going to go into a standing clamshell. If you need to put your hand on a piece of furniture or a wall for balance here, please do so. What we're going to think about is finding neutral. So thinking about tucking our ribs down towards our pelvis, drawing our pelvis up towards our ribs, so we're sort of making a connection there. And then you're going to bring one foot up to your other knee. Again, if you need to hold on to something for balance, definitely do that. From there, keeping your core active, keeping your pelvis square in front of you, we're going to open that hip up and come back to pointing straight ahead. Keep that core active, open up. Only open up as far as you can go without taking your whole pelvis with you. So we're looking for a stable center, opening and closing. Again, you can hold on to something. If you have a hard time balancing, this isn't meant to be a balance challenge. We're going to get 2 more here. 2. Good. We'll switch legs. Set that neutral spine. Get your hips square. Bring your foot up onto your other leg. And you're just pushing out against that band, rotating out like a clamshell. We're working our hip external rotators here. Pressing out, keeping your pelvis square in front of you. You should feel this in your moving glute, but you might even feel it more in your standing leg. Let's get 2 more. Good. All right, last one, just to get our heart rates up a little bit. We're going to go into a jumping jack. If you want to keep the bands off, you certainly can, but you can keep the band around your knees for this. We're coming up and down, pushing our knees out against that band. Nice big motion overhead. Press those knees out against the band. Don't let them snap you in too fast. Let's go for 2 more. And take a rest. All right. We're going to keep the band right where it is for our first exercise, okay? We're just going to do a squat with the resistance of the band pushing our knees in, okay? This is a good one to work on getting the right muscles engaged with your squat. When we squat, a common thing I'll see is people's knees coming in towards each other. So this band is pushing you that way, and your job is to press the band out and keep the muscles on that control that movement. So the band will stay right above your knees, and we're pressing out against it as we squat down. No deeper than 90 degrees. Hips sitting back and up. Okay, my hips go back. My shins stay close to parallel. Your knees can go forward a little bit, but try not to let them come too far forward. Butt goes back. Press out against that band. Push up through your heels into standing. Make sure your backs are flat as you stick your butt back. Squeeze your glutes and come up. And we're going to get 2 more here. And rest. All right, we'll give your hips a little rest. You can pop the band off. We're going to bring it up to our wrists. So you're going to place the band right here around your wrists. Okay, and we're going to start with pushing out, bending over just slightly, and just practicing pinching our shoulder blades back as if we're doing a row, okay? So you've seen probably people doing rows with a dumbbell here. We're not pulling weight, but we are pressing against that band to get our rotator cuff on. So we can really emphasize that pinch of your shoulder blades. So think about pinching those shoulders back, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears, okay? If you feel uncomfortable being hinged forward, you can come up a little straighter, do whatever feels best for your back, but really just emphasize that pinch of your shoulder blades. Let's get 2 more here. Feel those muscles between those shoulder blades. Pull and squeeze. Good. Keeping that band right where it is, we're just going to work a little overhead. Okay, you're going to continue to press slightly out against that band. You don't have to push hard out. Just enough to turn those muscles on, and we're coming up and overhead and down. Maintaining that press against the band the whole time. Hold that press against the band, come up and overhead. As you come up and over, make sure, again, you're not hyperextending from your back. Keep your ribs tucked down, right up overhead, and down nice and easy. Okay, you're feeling the shoulders work mostly because of the tension you're placing on that band. And then you're getting a little deltoids as you lift up and over your head. Let's get 2 more there. Nice and tall, pulling your head back, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears. And rest. Okay, we have 3 exercises in this circuit, so we're going back to the top with our squats. Band around our knees. So band up, above our knees. Feet hip to shoulder width. As we do our squat, we're going to press out against it, okay? So really get those hip external rotators on and sit your hips back and up. Hips go back. I'm going to just check in on form as you guys continue here. Good job, Janet. Sit our butts right back. Push those bands out. Good job, Sharon, James. Diana, these look good. Good job, Kim. Hips go back. Press that band out. Really get your butt back. Squeeze your glutes on the way up, and let's get 2 more there. Butt back. Feel those glutes turn on all the way to the very top. Good. All right. Back to the upper body. back to the shoulders. So this is where if you do have a set of these bands, if you have a variety of resistance, you might find that the band at your knees is pretty easy. You could use a heavier band, but the ones in the arms require something lighter. So wouldn't be the worst thing to have a couple different resistances nearby. We're gonna think about pressing out against that band again. We're gonna set our shoulder blades back. Hinge forward a little bit. You can hinge forward more if you're comfortable with it. Keeping that back nice and flat, and we're pinching our shoulder blades back. Press out against that band, pull that chin back, get nice and long through your spine, all the way up to your head and neck. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Pinch those shoulders back. Good, let's get 2 more here. Pinch straight back and relax. Good. Shake out those arms a little bit real quick. We're gonna push out against that band that same way. Roll those shoulder blades back, turn your core on, and we're coming up and overhead. Down nice and easy. You're pressing into that band the whole time, turning on those stabilizer muscles of your shoulder, coming up and down. Good. This is going to be we're going to go just 2 times through this circuit. So from here, we're going to take it down to the mat. Let's get 2 more here. And then we're going to go through the mat circuit with a few other exercises. Good. All right. Pull up your mat. You can bring your band down with you. We're going to start on our backs with our band around our knees. So grab that band, place it right up above your knees. This is where it's going to stay for the majority of this circuit. We're coming onto our back with our knees bent, and we're going to do a bridge variation here with this band. So making sure before we do anything that your core is engaged, that you create that little pelvic tilt, that little rib tuck. We're going to drive through our heels and drive up into that bridge. If this height of this bridge doesn't feel good for you, you could go a little shorter. If you feel okay with the full range, you can go to the point that your shoulders, hips, and knees are in a good alignment. And at the top, what we're going to do is press out against that band, come back in, and down nice and slow. Okay, we're going to press up through our heels, push out, slowly back in, and come back down. Drive out, press out against those bands, come in nice and slow. So we're getting hip extension as we bridge up, and then we're working a little bit of hip external rotation and abduction as we press out against that band. So we're really working all the muscles of the glutes. Press out against that band and down. We're going to get 2 more. And come on down. Good. From here, we're going to keep the band right where it is. And we're going to come into quadruped. So you're going to be on your hands and knees. Okay. We're going to go into some movements with the band at our knees or at our feet. If any of these feel a little challenging for you or you're having a hard time stabilizing, just get rid of the band. You can do it without. The first one we're going to do is hands being under our shoulders. Our spine is neutral, long, and in line with our head and neck. And from here, what we're going to do is think about just pressing out against that band and coming in on one side. So we call these hydrants. It's like you're a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. You're pushing out against that band, coming back in. Shoulders rolled down and back, core engaged. And in. And we're going to go for 10 on each side here. Make sure you're keeping a nice steady pelvis. You shouldn't open up so much that your whole pelvis rocks with you. Little push out to the side and back in. We're going to get 2 more here. Good. And we'll switch sides. Keep that nice neutral spine. Head in line with your neck, with the rest of your spine. And we're pressing out. Small little motion. Push out with that leg. And back in. Doesn't have to be big. You should feel this in that moving hip, but you might also feel it in your hip that's on the ground as it stabilizes you. We're going to go for 10. If you've lost count, we're going for 2 more. And 2. Good. Let's bring that band. We're going to maintain the position that you're currently in, but you're going to bring the band down to your feet, okay? We're going to come back into quadruped. If you have a hard time being in quadruped because of your wrists, you can just use your fists instead of being on your hands. We're going to get your hands right under your shoulders. We're going to be doing a bird dog, okay? So again, if a bird dog is hard enough for you, you can do it without the band. If you want a little resistance in your hip, the band goes at your feet and you kind of push out against it, okay? So what we're going to do is think about going opposite arm and leg, keeping our core active as we push out and come back in, okay? If this feels hard, kick the band away. If that still feels hard, just do your leg. You don't have to add the arm. But the goal is to be trying to maintain that nice neutral spine as we extend out and come in. If you have to just go with the leg, you can do that. Or you can kick away the band. Minimal movement through your trunk, through your pelvis. Let's get 2 more here. Nice big reach. And come down, relax. We're going to switch sides now. Reset that spine if you have to. Get that head and neck nice and long with the rest of your back. Pressing out and back in. Your glute is working here to extend your hip out. It's not a ton of resistance, but it's enough to really challenge your core a little bit more. Let's get 2 more here. And relax. If you need to, kind of sit back in your hips, stretch it out a second, shake it out. We're going to get 1 more exercise in this circuit. We're going to come onto our backs again. You're not going to need the band for this one. We're going to go 90-90 heel taps on these, okay? So option 1 will be both legs come up into this 90-90 position, 90-degree bends of your hips and knees, and 1 leg at a time will drop down, okay? If that feels challenging for you, you can just go from both heels on the ground and opt for a march, okay? The goal for either option is not to feel that your center, your pelvis is rocking excessively in the floor, okay? So create that nice active core, ribs tucked down, pelvis tipped slightly back. You can either go from the floor here, or you can bring each leg up 1 at a time, and we'll start from this position. Shoulders drop down and away from the floor, and 1 leg at a time is gonna tap down and come back up. Thinking about really keeping that core engaged. Don't let that pelvis tilt forward. Don't let it shift excessively left or right as you move those legs. Make sure you're breathing. Try not to get tense through your shoulders. Let those shoulders drop down and away from the ceiling. We're going to get one more on each side. 2. Good. One leg at a time. Come back down to the floor, keeping your core engaged all the way to the end there. We're going to go back to the top from there. So you can grab your band. You can bring it back up to your knees for our bridges. All right. So shoulders drop down away from the ceiling, drip down into the floor, away from your ears. Let's create that little connection here at our core. Drive through our heels up into our bridge, and then we press out against that band. Come in nice and slow. Press through those heels, push out against that band. You don't have to come way out. Pause for a second and back in. And back in, easy. Squeeze your glutes as you drive your hips up. Press slightly and pause. Come in nice and slow. Make sure your shoulders aren't getting tense even as you get fatigued. We're going to get 2 more. And down. Drive through those heels. Press out. In slow. And down nice and easy. Good. We'll keep our band where it is. And we're coming back into those hydrants. So we're coming back into our quadruped position on our hands and knees. Let's make sure our knees are under our hips, our hands are under our shoulders. Head is long and in line with the rest of your spine, and create that core activation here at your center. We're pressing out slightly against the band and coming in nice and easy. Okay, doesn't have to be a big movement. Small movement, enough to challenge your pelvis, enough to challenge your position, and add a little bit of glute engagement here. Let's get 2 more. And rest. Reset yourself. Make sure you're in a good alignment. Roll out your shoulders, and we're going to go to the other side. Pressing out, small press. Pull that head up and back. Nice and aligned with the rest of your back. Let's get 2 more. And we're going to bring that band down to our feet for our bird dogs. Right around your laces. We're coming back into that quadruped. Make sure when you're trying to find that neutral spine, you shouldn't be rounded. You shouldn't be hyperextended. You want a small curvature in your low back, and you're holding that position as we move through the movement, okay? Opposite arm and leg, or just leg if you feel like that's a little bit too much for you. Pressing out and back in. Trying to maintain that nice neutral spine that you just found, and minimizing side to side rocking. Two more on this side. Good. Shake it out, reset yourself. Make sure you're in that nice neutral spine, and we're going to the other side, pressing out and coming in. Make sure that head is pulled back. Usually people want to sag down a little bit. Let's get 2 more. And take a rest. Good. We're going to go onto our backs and go back to our dying bugs. And then we're going to stretch it out. So you can pop that band off for this one. Again, start with your heels or your knees bent, so your heels under your butt. Let's make that connection from hips or pelvis to ribs. And if you want to go for the more challenging option, you're going to bring both legs up. If you feel like you want to just go with the marches, you're just alternating legs, feeling like your pelvis doesn't rock side to side. So whichever you choose will kind of create that neutral spine, and then we'll get into the position here. And slow and controlled, you're tapping down to the floor and up. Don't let that pelvis rock with you. Nice and slow and controlled. Try to keep your other leg nice and still as your moving leg shifts up and down. Keep that core engaged, keep the shoulders down and away. We're going to get 2 more on each side. Good. And bring one leg down at a time, nice and easy. Let's let one leg kind of stretch out and bring the other one right up through our chest. Give it a little hug, let the other leg straighten out and stretch. We're going to just breathe into this. And cool it down a little bit with a little bit of mobility here. And switch sides, let that other leg straighten out. If that bothers you to have your legs straight, you can also bend it if it bothers your back. If you're comfortable with it, let that leg straighten out, let your hip flexor lengthen a little bit there. If you're comfortable with it, let's have us bring both knees up and just sort of hug them up to your chest. And just kind of open up that spine a little bit. And breathe. If it bothers your hips at all to pinch, just don't come up quite as far. And then let's bring each leg down to a bent position. Let's cross knee over or ankle over other knee. You're gonna, if you need a strap or a towel or something, you can use it. But if not, you're just gonna bring that thigh up to your chest by grabbing that thigh and pulling up for a stretch on that cross-legged hip. If that's hard for you, you can also opt to just hold that position and push the knee away. You'll get that similar effect, that external rotation effect. It's a little less significant of a stretch. Good. Let that leg drop down. Hold your ankle in the same position for right now. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna just roll off to the opposite side. Okay, pulling that cross leg across your body a little bit and pulling that knee in slightly for a big stretch of your TFL. So this is your tensor fascia lata. It's the muscle up at the top of your hip. It's the muscle that travels down and becomes your IT band. You should feel it up on the side of that hip there. and rock across. Cross the other leg. Again, if you feel like you have a hard time grabbing that thigh, you could just press that leg away and hold that position for a stretch. If you're comfortable and you can grab it, grab your thigh, hug that knee up to towards your chest for a stretch in the side of your cross-legged hip. Good. Let's bring that leg back down to the ground, that foot. You're going to keep the position and you're going to turn your hips away from the cross-legged side. Let your other leg kind of pull it down with you. If you want more of a stretch, you can take your hand, press that leg down and across your back a little bit more. Again, you should feel this along the lateral hip through that TFL muscle up here at the top of your hip. Again, this is that muscle that comes down and turns into your IT band. That tendinous portion of your TFL is your IT band. Good. And then why don't we come up into kneeling or standing, whichever feels better for you, for a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to bring your leg out in front of you. I'll demonstrate from this side. Into a 90-90 position of both your hips and knees. You want to think about drawing your pelvis up towards your ribs. Really push that posterior pelvic tilt to put your hip flexor on stretch. And then you're just doing a little shift forward, holding that pelvic tilt. You should feel a big stretch up at the top of your hip here. If you feel uncomfortable in kneeling, you can basically do the same thing in standing here, tucking that pelvis up and lunging your hip forward into a standing position instead of a kneeling position. Good, we'll switch sides. So again, if you're in standing, you're just in a staggered stance. You're drawing your pelvis up towards your ribs and you're just pushing your hips forward. All right. Good. So we will open it up for any questions that you might have.